Hello, and welcome to episode 3 of Impact Sports. Today we'll be discussing a variety of the impact of the sportsies. And Corey's over here with the beautiful facial expressions and gracing us with yet his presence on yet another episode of this here show, podcast, whatever it is. How are you today, Corey? You look handsome as ever. The hair looks like it's glowing.
I do put some glow-in-the-dark paint in my hair during every shower, just so that I give the impression of glowing.
No way. Well, it's
Yep.
working. You're definitely glowing. Must have to stick on the ladies talk to you all the time. Probably quite
Yeah,
stressful.
constantly just fighting them off. I find it safer that, like, if you just stay in one place, such as like your house, then they can't find you, and then it's safer that way. That's why I never leave my house.
You know, Corey, you're a wise man. And with guns like that, even if they got into the house, you'd be ready.
I'd be ready.
As we all should do. Anyway,
I feel like
I did want to talk.
we're on episode 3 here, and I feel like you introduce me every time, but I realize I haven't actually introduced you. So Stephen Compian, the lead man here at Impact Sports, showing all the people all the stuff, telling him the stats, and with
Things.
the blue headphones.
Yeah, blue headphones. We're out here.
Got to
You
bring out
know,
the blue headphones.
ripping off information from other podcasters and other shows. It's a beautiful thing we're doing here, honestly.
Yep, whatever it takes.
It takes. I did want to say a brief thing here about Mr. Matty Ice himself. Mr. Matt Ryan just got traded. Well, a couple days ago, got traded over to the Indianapolis Colts for a third-round pick. I think the Falcons are also splitting Matty's salary with the Colts this year, which is awfully nice of them. And I think Chris Ballard was talking about this is going to be a 2-year stay at least for Matty. They have him locked down for that, and obviously they want to see him stay for longer, but that's what they have him locked in for now. They're real excited about it. I think he's like probably 34, maybe 30 something. I don't know. He's in his late 30s, and I think that's why it dropped down to a third-round pick, but I still think this is a steal for the Colts. They get a guy who, as a Buccaneers fan, I've seen Matty burn us for many, many years. Obviously, he's had less success the last couple of years, but that's not fully on him. I mean, the guy's had like no talent around him. Julio Jones got old. Julio Jones got old on them, and they kind of like faded out after that. They traded him away. That said, Kyle Pitts has really emerged for them. He's looking like a viable option, but I wonder who the heck's going to throw him the ball now. They're sort of in limbo as far as the quarterback situation goes.
Marcus Mariota, right?
Did they? Okay.
I believe so. Like 80% sure.
I just saw the trade of Tyreek Hill going over to Miami, which is crazy. That's a big time trade right there.
Took the places the highest paid receiver. Devonta Adams had it for 3 days. Devonta Adams.
Holy cow! The guy got, is it 70 mil fully guaranteed? Like, wow. The Dolphins are all in right now because they just signed the left tackle Armstrong from New Orleans. Of course, it's hard to really recognize offensive linemen, right? When you're watching the NFL, like unless they're on your team, if you're listing the top 5 offensive linemen of just about any other team, I bet most people would struggle unless it's like the big name guys like Whitworth or names like that. But yeah, so I didn't really know who this guy's name was, but of course he's been involved in kicking the shit out of the Buccaneers for multiple years now. So I'm happy he has moved on to not only out of our division, but out of the conference. It's excellent. He's over there with Miami now, and it looks like they're making a big move to try to go for that AFC, which the AFC is stacked, Corey. Let's go through that real quick. The AFC is absolutely stacked. So in the AFC East, you got Josh Allen, you got the Miami Dolphins that just loaded up to go after it, and of course the evil wizard in the evil wizard Bill Belichick over there in Foxborough. Never an easy out. Mac Jones looked great in his first year, and I think they got a steal. So we'll see what happens with them. And then you got good old Jets, which God bless them. Jeff would be proud.
They're a little confused, but they kind of know what football is. They're like, we kind of know what's going on here sometimes, but not often.
I don't know. I obviously we're rooting for Zach Wilson. I got his name right. Yeah.
I kind of
Zach
want to
Wilson,
see
which I
that kid
also
White come out. That dude was so cocky after that one game where he threw like 500 yards, like 2
oh,
touchdowns. I was like, hell
I
yeah, man. I don't know
know,
who this kid is, but get it, bro. And he gets
I
hurt the
know.
next game. It's like, oh man, that was you had your 15 minutes of fame so briefly, but I'm glad he got his 15 minutes of fame.
And I hope he gets another shot. I hope Mike White gets another shot at this world because he was awesome.
He was
So
so
yeah,
fucking
we're rooting for you,
cocky. I was
Mike.
like, hell yeah, bro.
He was so cocky. I love it. We're rooting for you here at Impact Sports, Mike. Let me tell you, which I did talk to a friend of mine, and he said that Impact Sports may or may not be taken. So we're loose here. We may keep it, maybe Impact Sports, maybe something else. Who knows?
Who knows?
First couple episodes, it's all pretty up in the air. But yeah, just to finish up here, well, I mean, we barely got started, but yeah, so as far as the AFC, I'm not going to go too in detail about this because I want to talk about some rugby today. But basically, the AFC stacked because that's the AFC East, and then AFC West, which we've all heard about over this offseason. Raiders got Devontae Adams. Freaking Broncos traded for Russell Wilson. Of course, you got Patty Mahomes over there with the Chiefs. Never can count him out. As well as the Chargers got Von Miller. So it's absolute craziness. And I think they also got no, I'm sorry, they didn't get Von Miller. They traded from Mac. What the heck is his first name? I don't know why I'm struggling with that, but Mac, defensive end over there with Chicago, he got traded to
Mac Jones?
the Chargers. What's that?
Mac Jones?
No, it's Mac, dude. Defensive end for he came out of Buffalo College. I forget what his first name is for some reason at this moment, but that's how it goes. Just to correct myself about a previous guy was Kenny Pickett, Corey. In a previous podcast, I wasn't sure about the guy's name, but he is a number one prospect along with Malik Willis, who just had his pro day pretty recently. A lot of teams went out there to check it out. It's kind of one of those things like early in free agency, you didn't think you were going to need these quarterbacks. And then now it's as this continues, you're like, actually, let's go back and check these dudes out again.
Well, I mean,
But
Baker
anyway,
Mayfield needs a home now because
yeah.
it's not like they're going to hold on to Baker Mayfield and Deshaun Watson. They're going to try to keep him moving.
So Baker Mayfield may be on the move. Maybe Atlanta. They kind of need a quarterback.
I think.
Anyway, yeah,
I'm like 80% sure on that.
Yeah, I think you're right. But anyway, that's what's kind of going on in the AFC. There's a lot more to talk about there as well. But Corey, I wanted to talk to you about some rugby stuff going on. So first of all, here in the United States, we of course want to cover Major League Rugby a little bit. It is in its second season, I believe, and the way they've coordinated this is they set it up for winter into spring, so that way it doesn't mess with Division I rugby here in the United States, which is quite big. It's basically the men's level rugby at the highest level. So a lot of these guys are able to play Major League Rugby in the winter and then go back to their Division I team during the fall season. But anyway, as the Major League Rugby games have been going on, I'm not going to lie, I haven't been watching a lot of them. Would be lying to you if I would say I'm like super engaged. But we are trying to make it a part of this Impact Sports business, so we will try to briefly cover it. As far as the standings go right now, the Western Conference is led by Austin. They have 5 wins to their 2 losses, and they're followed by Seattle Seawolves over there with 4 wins and 3 losses. San Diego Legion also has 4 wins and 3 losses. I had a guy who I played with in college, a beast of a prop, and he went to play with the Dallas Jackals. I'm not sure if he was trying out for them, if he was on their practice squad, if he's still with them now, but I do wish him the best. I hope he is. They're at the bottom of the division over there in the West, so they should probably start my boy. Maybe they can, turn their luck around. Going over to the Eastern Conference, you have Atlanta, which actually was in the rugby final last year. They played a very veteran team and the LA Gicklins or whatever, who are sort of towards the middle of the pack over there in the West right now. But they lost pretty badly to LA because LA had a whole bunch of veterans. And like I said, they sort of just outclassed a younger Atlanta team. But it is cool to see these guys still in their number 1 spot in the Eastern Conference. They're followed pretty closely by New York, though, which also is 5 wins and 1 loss. They just have 1 more point than New York. Also, the New England Free Jackets right behind both of those guys with 23 points. So pretty tightly contested over there in the Eastern Conference. Some great rugby to be watched. Just in case anyone was wondering, Major League Rugby will give you an account, which you can watch all the games online for free. So that is something you could subscribe to and have a account and catch up on some fine rugby here in the United States, Core. Isn't that amazing?
So that's 3 divisions, 4 teams per division.
That is two divisions.
2 divisions.
Two divisions. There's actually 7 teams in the West and 6 in the East. That's how you can tell this is a young league coming up here. You know,
But so are
they
they
got
recruiting
13
like?
teams.
Do they recruit internationally? Like, I know this is big in like Australia and England and stuff. Are they
Well,
scooping
they
up
might have
guys from
some
over there?
international players. I think it's a lot of U.S. players. There's definitely some international players for sure. And there's actually one team from the from Canada. I forget who exactly, but let me check them out. Which one were they? Toronto Arrows. So the Toronto Arrows had all of their games on the road last year because Canada was shut down with COVID. So these poor boys had to play in Georgia with all their home games. So these guys are from Canada and they're playing their home games in Georgia. It was a spring to winter time, so I'm sure it didn't get as hot, but they probably, I don't know how many of those guys are even from Canada. Crazy thing about this dude is most of these guys have day jobs still. As far as Major League Rugby goes, most of these dudes are working contractor jobs and flying out on the fucking weekend to go play rugby at a
So
at a paid level, but
they're not like recruiting people from Australia. Like, hey man, come over here and we'll pay you 35 cents. They're like, no, I'm gonna be over here where like I get paid to do this.
no. This is still this is like the second year, if I'm understanding it correctly, of Major League
Okay.
Rugby.
Okay.
So they're still really new, very raw. Rugby here in the United States hasn't really quite blossomed, if you
So I'd
will.
say
Most of the major.
they're almost at the level of like an XFL or a fan-controlled football league, that kind of thing. Because
Yeah, I don't think there's as much money in there, so there's not as much room for them to fail. I feel like because a lot of these guys, like I said, there's not that much money being
they're
spent
doing it
around
out of love
anyway.
of the sport, not for a living.
Yeah, a little bit. Like I think they're getting paid, but I don't think these contracts are ridiculous. Definitely something for me to check into and talk to you guys about maybe in a future episode. But that is sort of the situation with Major League Rugby. We'll try to monitor that a little bit more closely as we continue through our episodes. Isn't that exciting news, Corey?
I'm excited to hear about it, man. I'm pumped. I'm here with the hard-hitting questions.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So hey, last thing I want to talk about was the Six Nations that's going on right now. So just for those who don't know about Six Nations, that is Six Nation Rugby. It's taking place with England, Scotland, Wales, Ireland, France, and Italy. Now, there's been piles of trash talked about my boys from Italy, which I don't say my boys from Italy because I was born in Sicily, Palermo. Was there for a couple months, man.
It's around.
I was there. I was in the area. Not even quite on the mainland, but I saw it from the island. I was like, huh, I
That's
see
Italy,
how it
huh?
is
All
around here.
right, fair enough.
All right. And then we moved on. We were out of there. But anyway, so yeah, my boys over there have had piles of trash talked about them. Even guys on my own team have commented about how they should be replaced with maybe Argentina or like Trinidad. I forget some other teams they mentioned. So yeah, lots of shit talked about these guys because you know why, Corey? They haven't gotten a win in Six Nations since 2015.
It's a
So kind
while.
of tough.
7 years.
It's been a while. Been a while for my boys. So Ireland actually leads Six Nations with the most wins in this, and since the thing has been around, pretty cool. For a smaller part of the United Kingdom for them to dominate like this, but they take their rugby quite seriously.
They're just some savages, man. Like you got Conor McGregor. There's some new UFC guy coming out with like a really dumb haircut,
All
and
about their boxers for sure.
yeah, they like
Yeah,
violence
there's
over
a
there. I
Patty
don't know
dude. Yeah,
why.
yeah, yeah, Patty. Right? We got to get Chris on here to talk about Patty for us, but. Yes, the Irish definitely are some savages. They're not very good at soccer, from what I see. I don't know. I don't ever see it in the World Cup.
It's not enough
But man, they got
violence,
that rugby
bro.
stuff down. I was
Like
flying there
what?
one time on my way somewhere else.
Do they just send their
Um,
players to England, to the UK? Like, does England compete or does the UK compete in the World Cup?
oh no, it's per country. Costa Rica went to the quarterfinals and beat. No, we didn't beat Scotland.
They beat
We beat
England.
Greece. No, we didn't.
Was England the one that beat them? I
Well,
know they
let's
beat
not go bait.
Argentina. Anyways, yeah,
We're
no
getting
point
off
right now.
track. We're getting off track here. All right. But anyway, what was I saying about So Ireland leads this stuff,
Italy.
like they're serious about it. I've flown there one time on my way there. They have pamphlets about their players. Serious about this. They lead the Six Nations. Italy hasn't won a game since 2015. They haven't won in 7 years, been 36 matches since they've seen a win. So everyone's talking piles of shit about them. We're getting down towards the end of this year. Once again, they haven't won. They had a pretty close-ish game against Scotland, where they showed a little more resistance and residual, where they went down 33-22. So they're going into this game with the Wales. I believe Wales is actually towards the bottom of the pack here at Six Nations, unfortunately. They kind of are also working on their rugby program. But anyway, so they're going into this game. It's a tightly contested game. I definitely think there was more Wales fans there than Italy fans. You could hear anytime Wales made some plays. These Italy guys got. Anytime Wales made plays, you could definitely hear the fans getting excited. But as this game continued, it started to be a very tightly contested game because Italy was hitting these kicks, man. They just, instead of getting a lot of tries, they just kept on getting close up there. And, shout out to Corey. I put the name in the chat. We're just going to say it's Squishy Rugby. This guy breaks down some excellent rugby film for me. As I've been learning the sport, it's been awesome for me to kind of watch him break down big games. Squidditch sounds exactly correct. I believe it is Squidditch Rugby. If you guys want someone to really break down some excellent rugby for you with great footage and excellent accent, go check out Squidditch Rugby on YouTube. He's a killer. He puts out some great content. But anyway, a lot of our stuff was stolen from him today. Thanks, Squidditch. You're a great guy. Anyway, so anyway, this dude, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, so they made a whole bunch of kicks. And shout out to Squidditch, who pointed out this one guy, their number one, who's, I think they're a hooker, usually a bigger guy, someone you're not going to count out for a ton of cardio, had a freaking crazy game. The dude had 6 turnovers. He just kept on popping up and just getting over there and getting over on the ball, man, and created a lot of penalties. So there was a lot of situations where play stops, and you have 2 options. You can either run the penalty play, which is what a lot of, in our league, we don't have as good of kickers. So from the distances that Italy was kicking from, we would have been running the ball. But these guys had a kicker on him, man, and the dude was on that game because he put down like freaking 6 or 7 kicks. It was crazy. So he had them in the game with just pure kicks. He had a total of 5. It was 15 points when they got their final try, their only try of the day, which won them the game in the last play. Corey, do you want to play this beautiful clip while we watch? Oh, hold on, I'm sorry. I did want to also preface that they put in this fullback, and this guy had it's been his first Six Nations. He played okay against Scotland, got a couple tries for sure. He's still learning as he goes, but he had a hell of a game. I don't want to mispronounce the dude's name, or I don't remember it either, but also he had a heck of a play. Let's check it out.
All right. So you see here the name of the YouTube channel. I believe that's Squidditch Rugby. We have this cute little clip here that Steven snipped out for us. So we see the man catches it, tosses it to this other dude. Like 4 people get uninterested tackling him, breaks a tackle, starts cutting inside, back outside.
Shout out, and that's a good part. Pause it real quick. Right around where he's breaking, you're going to see the number 7, their flanker, run over there and create a blocking. But, of course, blocking is not allowed in rugby. So he mostly just gets in the guy's way. But he does this in such a loud, fast fashion. He communicates with his fullback, the man carrying the ball. Hey, and he points to the hole, and then he quickly throws his back to the other player, creating a wall.
I see it. So right here. Wait, no, yeah. So this is our boy number 7.
Shout out to Squidditch Rugby. That's not me who picked that up. He's the one who points this out in his video. Go check it out. But I did want to point that out as a flanker. It's how my man's out there making plays, and it's just such a veteran move. And kind of one of the cool things about rugby is it's controlled chaos, and obviously you can't do anything blatant. You can't go hit that dude, push him, or the ref sees you trying to block him. That's absolutely going to get called. But my man just subtly gets into his way and creates a big play for his team, or helps create a big play. Let's be honest, this fullback is all about the play here.
So this dude's super interested in making a tackle. This guy sees the problem, and he just stands there. He's like, nope, don't do that. The other guy misses the tackle, and here we see him break decision. Even explained to me, he does the handoff so this guy can get closer to the center. So I'm guessing they get more points the closer they are to the center?
Well, that's where you get to kick it from. So if you're kicking it into those uprights, you want to kick it from the center. You want to be kicking it too far from the side. Because if you would have put it down in the very far corner, you're kicking from the very corner, hoping to angle it up and get it in. It's a harder kick.
I gotcha. All right. So
my boys and girls, if you're scoring rugby, center that shit.
So he could easily get in here on the corner. He has the corner. Well, I mean, that guy maybe would have stolen his lunch money. This guy right here.
He could have made it, though. He probably would have made it.
He probably would have made it, yeah. So this is the move, hands off the try, it's called.
Try, yeah. Even though they actually scored, for some reason they're like, well, he tried. It's really stupid.
He tried really hard and succeeded.
Tried really hard, dude. Like whatever. I mean, those Hueys. What are you gonna say?
All right, so that takes us from 21 to 15. So I'm guessing this try is worth 5 points. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So now it's 21 to 20.
He just kicked to win.
Very little time left on the clock. My man looks super serious. He's like, hey, we should totally kick this in. Backs up. Boom, right through. The Italian commentators get very excited. They all, have a little group hug on the floor because
the guy who took that kick, apparently a big part of the Italian turnaround over the last 2 years, which apparently has been happening according to his Quidditch. This guy, been a big center of the part, and early on, a lot of teams realized he was like one of the biggest threats, so they're constantly charging up on him and hitting him, and it was leading to a lot of disaster for the Italians. So now he's been doing a lot more mock ones where he gets in there, fakes like he's getting the ball, and they chug it out to other players and move it along from there. So he's been doing an excellent job, and as you can see, it's emotional as heck for him to finally get this win.
Yep. So that was... How much time do they have left on the clock there when they do this?
That's the game. It's kind of weird the way it works. I don't understand why. Because basically it's 80 minutes, right, for this rugby game. So, yeah.
So there's a minute and 30 seconds left as the dude's running into the try zone. If it's supposed to be 80 minutes.
They just kind of chalk it up as like that's, because it's a running clock, so I guess.
Okay. So while they were setting up the kick, they killed the clock. Yeah, because here
pretty much. It's basically like, in the NFL, where like if the play's still going and the clock's at 0, they're gonna let that play out.
Right.
Okay. So similar with rugby, like since that play was still going, and what they'll even let happen is even if he gets tackled, it's still going technically. That's still live play, so they're still rucking and everything like that. It's only when there's a penalty or someone kicks it out of bounds, which is why you'll see teams kick it out of bounds at the end of the game sometimes. That will stop the clock. So anything that causes any kind of clock stoppage is what ends the games. So obviously a try would do that.
Gotcha. And so his kick is 2 points. So you run it in 5, kick it 2.
Correct. And that's what they needed to win 22-21 over Wales. God bless the Welsh. A lot of their fans were happy for England. I mean, I'm sorry, for Italy. This is a big win for them. First win in freaking 7 years. So yeah, God bless them. That's some hard slugging right now, and they needed it so people would stop talking as much shit about them. Although I'm sure they will continue to talk shit as people do.
We just talked piles of shit about the Jets, and the Jets have, they've won in the last 7 years several times.
We fully support the Jets here at Impact Sports. Let me tell you. All right, they just got my boy Jordan Whitehead, so all the best to him. Hope he dominates over there. And we said we were rooting for Zach Wilson, who I think is a virgin. I think he's like one of those Christian dudes who like is waiting for marriage. I think BYU is a super Christian school, so I think that's the gig. Like you can't have any sex if you come here.
I think the funniest thing about him though is like how much he was getting roasted at the draft because everyone thought his mom was hot. And then his mom went on a bunch of Facebook rants. Like his mom is pretty nuts. She's super hardcore Christian. She was going on some like
Wow.
weird Facebook rants, and everyone was like, "Dude, you're like not even in the league, and you're causing all this drama because of your mom."
Oh my god, dude.
Yeah,
Oh
rough.
man, it's just a weird era, dude, of social media, you know? Like I was listening to the Pat McAfee show and I think Pro Football Focus said there was something like, yeah, man, I don't even remember the number now, but maybe 25 to 36 quarterbacks drafted since 2006 to 2016, and none of them are with the original team that drafted them. And I was actually thinking about this. Like the new era or the new generation of quarterbacks are fucking struggling to take over. Like, dude, people like Ben Roethlisberger hung out for so fucking long because Mason Rudolph sucked and there wasn't really any other options. Freaking Tom Brady is 45, 46, and granted, the dude's an alien, but he's dominating. It's crazy. That dude was drafted in 2002. There's so many quarterbacks that have been taken after him who are just now kind of, like look at Cam Newton, drafted 8 years after Tom Brady, and he's looking old. Like, I don't even know if Cam Newton's on a team right now.
No,
And
he's
Jameis
pretty.
Winston, drafted 2015, already kind of on his last legs. If he doesn't make it happen with New Orleans, it's over.
But that's the thing is like some of those dudes are, well, they're not generational talents because most of them are from the same generation. But like, it's rare to find a dude that good like Tom Brady or like Matty Ice that'll hang out.
Every decade or so, like younger guys came in and replaced those old veterans. Like,
They
so they
always
always talk about
replace
their
the average dudes, the middle ground dudes. Like, who's a middle ground quarterback that's like good now, but never really super great. Like those are the guys that get phased out by the newer guys. But then there's always the like pillars, like Brett Favre. He played in the league for like a million years. They just kind of hang out. Like Joe Burrow, he's probably going to be here for a million fucking years. Same with Patrick Mahomes.
what we said about like guys like Cam Newton or even like Carson Wentz, man. His first couple of years, like he got a big contract from the Eagles because he was looking amazing, and now he's just completely like standing on his last legs over there with the Commanders.
I think that's I think that's the average. And then there's the anomalies, which
But
are
like
Tom
name one
Brady.
guy. What I'm trying to say is like name one guy like since Tom Brady that like are these anomalies. Like mostly it's like all these older quarterbacks are still hanging on forever.
Patrick
Like
Mahomes,
even
he's ridiculously good.
yeah, but he's still really new. Like that was the 2018 draft. Where are all the
Really?
guys that were drafted? What I'm getting at, where are all the guys that were drafted like 2008 to 2016? Where are all those quarterbacks? Like, most of those guys failed. It's
2016 was
crazy.
what? Baker Mayfield was 2016? I think so.
No. 16 was Goff and Wentz.
Mm,
Mayfield was 18 too. So that was the
really?
crazy thing. Is
Damn.
that 18 was Mahomes, Mayfield, and Watson. And I think there was another guy in there too, which I'm sure I'll come back to and maybe correct myself later. But anyway, lots of NFL shit going on. Free agency is sort of kind of wrapping up, and then we'll see the draft in about a month from now. So it's pretty exciting stuff. And it'll be a huge drought of nothing to talk about with NFL football, which we have plenty to catch up on. Talk about lots of stats. There'll be some rugby shit to talk about as well. Maybe some hockey shit. Maybe if we can get Chris in here, we may even talk some UFC. I don't think either of us qualify to comment on anything UFC related right now. I
No clue.
no, I don't know anything
Can't
about
punch
it
the back
enough.
of the head. I know that. That's a rule.
I
Get
know, I
penalized
know
for
some
that.
I know some like names. Yeah, no, I know some rules like that, but I know some names, but I don't know anything that's going on. Anyway,
Any fake sponsorships you'd like to share with us, Steven?
oh yes, Corey, I'm glad you reminded me because it would be terrible of us to pass up an opportunity here to get some fake sponsors. Which I mean, not fake sponsors, are
Super
future
legit
sponsors.
sponsors that just don't know about us yet.
Exactly, Corey. That's perfectly put, and I'm just gonna leave it right there. So I want to shout out to Dwarf Pipes. They are an excellent brand of pipe makers, apparently, or manufacturers, should I say. I have purchased filters for my bong from them, and they produce some excellent filters, let me tell you, Corey. They also make bongs, and they make nice little personal sized ones, which are quite excellent and beautiful. So they do a great job. shout out Smoker Dwarf or Dwarf Smokers. Smoke. We forgot the exact name we corrected on their episode, but they are an excellent sponsor for us and have been killing it. God bless them. Corey?
Well, I have, of course, our reoccurring sponsor, which is Smirnoff. Here, I
Oh,
present
man.
to you the Smirnoff Ice, the 7% one, which is,
Sorry.
your.
You gotta stop. You don't even like this shit. Of
No, listen. I personally do not drink Smirnoff, but I know several people who
Right.
do, which is why I keep it in stock. Because
course.
it's a
You
good
are a man of the
party
people.
pleaser. Like,
Mhm.
if someone comes
Right.
over and like you only have beer, then you're just the beer guy. You don't want that. No one wants to be just the
No.
beer guy. You want to be the beer guy
Nobody.
and Smirnoff guy for if someone
Right.
needs a Smirnoff. And also, they're a really good safety net because sometimes you're too lazy to go to the store. You don't want to go buy more beer, but you want to get drunk. There'll probably be a couple Smirnoffs in the back of your fridge that you can still drink and then not have to go anywhere. So Smirnoff is,
A
multi-use.
backup beverage.
It's a backup beverage, and it's always going to be there because it's not going to be your first choice to drink it.
Honestly, as somebody who's kind of likes drinking, kind of don't like drinking, I like mixing it up with like one of the spelters or some bullshit, and then a beer, and then a spelter or some bullshit, maybe water. Get back to the beer. I'm trying to mix it up, because here in Illinois, where the vitamins are totally legal, such as marijuana, I do like to intake that while I'm drinking to slow down my drinking, and therefore I don't get as drunk and don't get
Safer that
hungover.
way. No one wants to be
It
too
is much
drunk.
safer
It's
that
all
way.
about the strong buzz, never about being wasted.
Strong buzz is the way to go.
Yep.
Indeed.
Yep.
Maybe a little tipsy, but nothing too
You
crazy.
want
Maybe
you
get the
want to hit
water.
your you want to go up until you hit your cruising altitude. Then you just stay
Yeah,
there because if you go any
yeah,
higher, then you're going
right.
to be hungover and you're going to be
Cruising.
puking and you don't want to be there.
Yeah,
You want to be
you don't
here,
want that.
and if you go down a
Plus,
little
you're
bit, you bring
sloppy.
it back up,
I mean,
and
and
you're
you
just
say
here, and
silly
you bring
stuff
it
to
back up.
people when you're sloppy. No one wants to be sloppy.
No one
Here at
wants
Impact Sports,
sloppy.
we want you to be sloppy, which we may change our name. So you never know. Corey, I wanted to shout out our last non-sponsor here, and that is CBD Soul Flow Company. This is actually a company that I believe our sister Kati works for or has negotiations with, maybe. But they are a huge sponsor of this podcast, Corey. They absolutely love what we do here at Impact Sports. They also make some excellent CBD. Let me tell you, I put a drop of this stuff in my mouth, or I think Kathy said to do half of the drop, so I do half the drop, right? Anyway, I do this stuff, and let me tell you, Corey, just immediate impact. Much like the next episode of Impact Sports will be Impact Sports 4. I think you guys should be excited about it. It's going to be coming to you, to maybe even a theater near you. Tell your friends, tell your family, and God bless. Corey,
Chances
do you have
are I'll be
anything to
wearing a
say?
different color shirt.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Although we
Good
can't
chance of that.
confirm it. He might
Can't
still wear it. He
confirm,
might
but
wear
good
it.
chance of it. You know.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Corey, do you have anything to say to the people as we part from this beautiful episode here of Impact Sports?
I would like to
Which
leave
concerns-
a parting question for just a little food for thought as we
Right,
sign off here.
of course.
Um, if you have a lasagna and you cook a
Right.
lasagna, okay,
Mhm.
this is a whole lasagna,
Sure.
and it's layered, right? So you got like noodles, then cheese, then noodles, meat. You know what a lasagna is, okay? So it's layers. You get a second lasagna and you place it on top of the first lasagna. Do you have two lasagnas or do you have one lasagna?
One
That is
lasagna.
it's a heavily debated thing, Steven. I'm glad that we
Debated.
agree on this, but that's for our audience to decide what they
It's
believe.
fair for other people to dispute it and try to say this is two lasagnas.
The
I
biggest
would understand your argument. You're absolutely wrong. And I don't even want to argue with you about it. But we do, I guess, respect your wrong opinion
Yep, yep.
here at Impact Sports, which may change its name.
Potentially Impact Sports, potentially something else. Signing off. Have a great
Oh,
day,
yeah.
evening, or afternoon.
Indeed.